Replacing your lead singer is an impossibly grim situation where very few people come out winners. The singer is typically the face of the band, so no matter how nasty the riffs or smashing the drums, the vocals are the vessel that listeners use to immediately distinguish you from the rest of the pack. Fans will riot if you announce an unworthy replacement, yet suddenly the mood shifts to sunshine if the remaining members basically do the same thing. Tragedy, drama, and health issues happen unexpectedly, so who's to say the rest of the members of a band should have to retire because of something out of their control? These are 7 bands who somehow lost their lead singer along the way and kept going under a new name. You've seen me explore bands who kept going after losing their lead singer, so it's only fitting that we explore it from a different angle. Check out those videos after this one, tap the like button for good luck, and support the channel by becoming a member for just $5 a month. Click the join button below, and a shout out to my members that are already holding it down with their support.
Practice Santeria, I ain't got no crystal ball, and I had $1 million, but I'd spend it all.
Iconic ska punk reggae band Sublime received a career-ending blow when their lead singer and guitarist Bradley Nowell tragically passed away from a heroin overdose in May 1996. Sublime were gone and disbanded in the blink of an eye following the release of their widely successful self-titled album. It seemed like they were being cut down in their prime, but fans refused to let the music die, leading to a spike in demand and the eventual return of the band. Rumors were flying by the late 2000s, and eventually surviving members Eric Wilson and Bud Gow announced a bold decision to revive their band with Rome Ramirez as their new singer. You're never gonna guess what they named it. Here's a hint, it's in the name of somebody who is singing in the new version of the band, Sublime, with... How often do you guys think about the Roman Empire? Plot twist, at the end of 2011, drummer Bud Gow abruptly announced he was done, later admitting it was really good for the first few months. After that, it just felt wrong. Not playing the songs, but playing them with the name Sublime without Brad. Sublime with Rome are still active, with bass player Eric Wilson being their only link to the past. They put out 2 more albums with Rome, each less successful than the one before it, and at this point, some people, definitely not me, would say that you're better off going to see Badfish. Axl Rose hard to work with? Never. The man is an angel in a bandana. He would never treat such talented musicians as Slash and Duff McKagan like replaceable parts, forcing them to leave and make their own supergroup. In '96, legendary guitarist Slash, bassist Duff McKagan, and drummer Matt Sorum had all stepped away from GNR due to personal conflicts with, you guessed it, Axl Rose. Come on down. Enter Velvet Revolver, aforementioned rock supergroup that emerged as a direct consequence to the turbulent late 90s downfall of Guns N' Roses. Those 3 didn't want to stop making music together, they just needed a new singer, so they started searching for a fresh start and found it in Scott Weiland of Stone Temple Pilots. Weiland was a bit of a wild card due to his own problems with addiction, but his vocal range and pure showmanship are what made him worth the risk. Velvet Revolver quickly took over the rock world in 2004, with hits like Fall to Pieces and Slither, drawing from their collective hard rock roots and stirring in a new ingredient that some might call alternative metal. Their second album, Libertad, wasn't intended to be the end, but Weiland's ongoing substance abuse continued fueling his erratic behavior in the studio and on the road. Option 1, not looking too tempting, remain in chaos. Option 2, fire Scott from Velvet Revolver. They later put aside their differences for a one-off charity show in 2012, but tragically, Scott Weiland died following a 2015 overdose. His death ended the idea of Velvet Revolver permanently, and sent Slash and Duff right back into the everlasting arms of Axl Rose. Creed's entire existence as a band has felt like a sign from above that I was never able to fully decode. God, I'm so confused! Why Creed? They were unbelievably successful as a post-grunge band, dominating the late 90s, even with Scott Stapp erratically flying the plane. The dawn of the new millennium saw tensions rising. Guitarist Mark Tremonti, drummer Scott Phillips, and bass player Brian Marshall were extremely talented musicians, all being underutilized in this rather gimmicky Scott above everybody else entity known as Creed. Hiatus went into effect in 2004, and the trio of players wasted no time in recruiting rock powerhouse Miles Kennedy as the vocalist for a new band they were calling Alter Bridge. Kennedy's hypnotizing voice and songwriting brought out edges of these musicians we would have never heard in Creed, with Tremonti in particular really flourishing creatively under this new umbrella. Alter Bridge have gone on to drop 7 albums, completely skirting the unspoken rule of supergroups releasing no more than 2 albums in 5 years. Even when Creed became active again in the late 2000s, and again now in the 2020s, it's clear that they are now the nostalgia act ready to set sail, while Alter Bridge never lost their fire, and it shows in the way that they've expanded and improved as a unit. You probably all already know the story of Queen, but a quick lore recap. The English band blew up in the mid-70s and remained huge the following decade plus. Freddie Mercury's bellowing, emotive voice is unlike anything else in music, which gave them a huge edge, bolstered that much further by the rhythm section combo of Roger Taylor x John Deacon and the fervent guitar from Brian May. After a long and mostly private battle with AIDS, Mercury passed away at the age of 45 in 1991. Bass player John Deacon was most affected by his death, only performing with Queen 3 more times, all for charity or tribute events, before walking away permanently. With Brian and Roger still interested in performing as Queen, they began billing it as Queen Plus in 2004. Example, Queen plus Paul Rodgers. The collaboration with Rodgers lasted from 2004 to 2009 and was generally liked, but was never meant to last, according to the artists themselves. Queen did leave the door open to the idea of another singer, eventually landing on American Idol runner-up Adam Lambert. Brian and Roger initially saw Queen plus Adam Lambert as a one-run thing, a way to introduce Queen to a new generation live in concert. This collab began in 2011 and proved to be such a big hit, a one-off thing turned into a permanent pairing. As I Lay Dying's journey from Tim Lambesis to Deceasus and back again is insane. In 2013, the metalcore juggernauts were shell-shocked by the news of their lead singer attempting to hire a hitman to murder his wife. With Tim rightfully locked away, the other members of As I Lay Dying found themselves anxious to create but down a singer, as they had ultimately parted ways with Tim Lambesis in 2014 in favor of a new band. Wovenwore rose from the ashes of a shitty situation, so it makes sense that they wanted to change up their sound. They locked in Shane Blay of Oh Sleeper for vocals, while nailing a more melodic, alternative rock groove musically that wasn't afraid to get heavy. This was the reset they desperately needed, while successfully distancing themselves from the controversy. And for the 3 short years Wovenwore existed, they were very active, releasing 2 albums, tons of touring, interrupted only because of Tim Lambesis' 2016 prison release. He had his come-to-Jesus moment behind bars with promises of being a changed man, and what do you know, within 2 years, Wovenwore is humanely euthanized so As I Lay Dying can return with the recently forgiven Tim Lambesis. Rage Against the Machine was a politically charged voice of a generation, known for their fiery cocktail blend of rock, rap, and social activism. After an unprecedented rampage through the 90s, they fell apart in the year 2000 as their charismatic frontman Zach De La Rocha exited the band, citing creative and ideological differences. This left the phenomenal players Tom Morello, Tim Comerford, and Brad Wilk without a frontman, so in 2001, they teamed up with Chris Cornell of Soundgarden fame to form Audioslave. Chris's unwavering voice, combined with the instrumental prowess of the former Rage members, created a tough, resilient, hard-to-fuck-with blueprint. It was obvious who was in the band because Tom Morello's guitar isn't exactly camouflage and neither is Chris's voice, but Audioslave were built different all around. Their music was more melodic and patient without fully dropping the intensity. Rage started becoming active again and doing a few one-off shows just as Audioslave ran its short but sweet course following the departure of Chris Cornell. Most view it as a successful second win for everyone involved, and I do too, because Audioslave were very special to me since I was loving their music before I even knew Soundgarden. Similar to Velvet Revolver, Audioslave did a one-off reunion in January 2017 with their inauguration Rebellion concert coming just months before Cornell's tragic suicide, which permanently shut down the idea of them making a comeback. Post-punk is forever indebted to Joy Division. Their masterful work was decidedly dark, but earnest in its delivery from the time they formed in 1976 to their untimely end less than 5 years later. However, the pressures of success, writing, and touring took a huge mental and physical toll on singer Ian Curtis, who sadly took his own life on May 18, 1980, before the release of their sophomore album. Bernard Sumner, Peter Hook, and Stephen Morris were now the surviving members of Joy Division. They were naturally unsure what the future held, but they did know that Joy Division was done permanently. They decided to continue making music together under the moniker New Order the very next year. With Bernard singing, they transitioned to a more electronic and dance-oriented sound after the release of their debut single, Ceremony. New Order would go on to have a successful and influential career as they became pioneers of the alternative dance and electronic music genres. Some would say it begs the question of what could have been in another life, but I'm pretty damn happy with the art that we have in this one, as it shows the resilience of humanity. Thanks for watching. Do me a favor and hit the like button if you enjoyed, and I don't know, maybe subscribe. Check out more episodes of SOS on screen around me now. Drop a comment with anyone else that you would add to the list, and I'll see you next time.